presenting China's ancient history and rich culture in the most interesting way.
我覺得看動畫學歷史好好睇，因為佢又清晰，又可以表達到入邊啲細節。
我對入邊嘅所有人物都印象深刻，所以我覺得看動畫歷史好好睇，而又令到我學到嘢。我哋可以透過一啲網上嘅工作紙同埋影片，去認識更多有關中國歷史嘅人物同埋情節。
This interesting educational project, Animated Chinese History for Curious Minds, has been produced by the Education University of Hong Kong. There is a total of 10 episodes of animation, which all present the most exciting parts of one Chinese historical figure's life. The project is targeted towards grade 4 to grade 9 students. To meet the learning objectives, the production team has designed sets of teaching plans and worksheets and provided training for teachers. The animation has Chinese and English subtitles, as well as Cantonese, Mandarin, and English dubbing, meaning that a wide variety of learners, such as South Asian and international students in Hong Kong, can learn Chinese history through the animations. Where did the idea for this project initially come from?
The aim of the project, Animated Chinese History for Curious Minds, is to dispel this notion that studying Chinese history is boring. Using animation to present Chinese history is not only engaging and interesting, but also leaves long-lasting impressions in learners' minds.
What are the learning objectives of this project?
We hope that learners can use the project to gain an understanding of important moments in the lives of historical figures. We also hope that learners can thereby access Chinese culture more meaningfully and attempt to apply the lessons of history into their own lives.
In order to present historical facts in fun ways while also taking into account the learning objectives, what needs to be considered when preparing content?
When producing the animations, there were 4 principles to be considered. Firstly, we always want to ensure close adherence to historical accuracy as a premise behind how we can bring these stories to life through animation. Secondly, it has been important to position the content of our animations within set curricular learning objectives. For instance, elementary understanding of the Silk Road and how people in ancient China explain the phenomenon of lunar eclipses. Thirdly, it has been crucial to align the history taught with grade 4 to grade 9 levels. Finally, it has been important for us to portray positive values in the history we present.
There are many different kinds of people among the 10 historical figures in the animation. What are the criteria when selecting them?
Characters for the animations were selected on the basis of 4 principles. Firstly, we want to select 10 characters that would roughly trace the development of Chinese history, right away from that in the time of Confucius 2,500 years ago up to the end of the Sino-Japanese War in 1945. Secondly, the figures that need to generally have a positive image and historical reputation. Thirdly, we have wanted to portray a wide array of figures, for example, scientist, writer, educator, and doctor. Finally, some of the figures would ideally have some connection to Hong Kong, like Sun Yat-sen having studied Western medicine in Hong Kong.
After selecting the characters and their life stories, the animations officially enter the production stage.
Once we receive the scripts, we formulate models of how the characters would appear and drop storyboards. The professors then check that these designs fit with specific characteristics of the era in which they are set. For example, the fact that Qin-era male characters did not have hair on their foreheads. Mongolia at the time of Genghis Khan did not have written characters at all. If our designs make any deviation from historical details, we need to go back and correct them. These details are often easy to overlook in textbooks, but we need to be very careful about these points in animation.
Provided that the details are historically accurate. Of course, we try to portray history in fun and engaging ways. For example, we create a character called Little Leaf who joins students themselves to travel back into the past. which makes students feel more immersed in historical stories. There are also other instances of how we have used animated effects to appeal to viewers. Let's say, when the Han Dynasty character John Chen tried to escape from their captivity with the foreign choice, we see a very cartoon-style wild wind appear under their feet and exaggerate expressions on their faces. Also, when Sun Yat-sen was released from his captivity in London, we deliberately showed the trained officials perspiring and passing water out of fear. This appeals to students' sense of fun and humor.
What value does the project Animated Chinese History for Curious Minds have in teaching?
我見到成個學動畫學歷史呢個活動咧係非常之成功之餘咧，就係佢可以引發到好多學生學歷史嘅興趣啦。
看動畫學歷史會令到我增加歷史科嘅興趣，就好似我睇完看動畫學歷史之後，我就借咗呢一本書。
呢套動畫其實對於我哋堂上去同學生進行一個互動嘅教學咧係非常之有幫助。
Animated Chinese History for Curious Mind is revolutionary in terms of history teaching materials in Hong Kong. Traditional information-heavy teaching of history often struggled to portray historical scenes or to capture the essence of important moments in important figures' lives. This program by EdUHK is a blend of Chinese history and animation. In bringing history to life, it breaks through from the boredom of past teaching style to raise students' interest in Chinese history.
Different surveys attest to the project's effective results in teaching and learning. Furthermore, widespread media exposure has attracted over 5 million viewers, which is indeed a remarkable achievement. The Education University of Hong Kong will continue to innovate, promote the development of learning and teaching, and develop more diverse teaching models for the future.